Elton John has hundreds of millions of dollars in the bank. He's also got a back catalogue that's bulging with hit records. But before the fame and fortune, Elton was a regular, working-class boy. He was born in 1947 and raised in social housing in the London suburbs. And he didn't have any adoring fans back then either. In fact, Elton spent his early years without much love or affection. Me Here 2019 is Elton John's autobiography that offers readers a deeply personal look into the life of the music icon. Elton candidly shares his personal victories and challenges, providing an unfiltered view of the world of fame and its accompanying allure. The book delves into the complexities of self-identity and acceptance as Elton reflects on his journey to discovering his authentic self. With rich storytelling and detailed accounts, it vividly recreates the era, immersing readers in the ups and downs of Elton's career. Elton John's early years didn't set him up for fame. While some people seemed destined for stardom from the start, like North West, born into a famous family, or Natalie Portman, who began modeling at 11 after being discovered by a talent scout at a pizza place, Elton John's beginnings were far from glamorous. Born to working-class parents in London in 1947, Elton grew up in subsidized housing and faced a difficult childhood. His parents' behavior was far from supportive. His mother's cruelty was so severe that actress Bryce Dallas Howard, who played her in the 2019 film Rocketman, found it disturbing enough to almost reconsider her role. Elton's early life was marked by extreme hardships, including being harshly punished by his mother and subjected to a tumultuous and abusive family environment. In an interview with The Guardian, Elton described his parents' relationship as filled with conflict, noting that they appeared to despise each other. His father was strict and distant, with a terrible temper, while his mother was argumentative and prone to deep moods. Their frequent arguments, often centered around Elton, created a toxic atmosphere. The constant criticism and abuse Elton faced from both parents were so severe that one might wonder how he managed to maintain any hope or creative spirit at all. Even after Elton John's parents divorced, their relationships with him never became healthy. His father, Stanley, remarried and had more children, becoming a different, more caring father to his new family. Yet, he never showed any affection or support for Elton and refused to attend his live performances, never offering an apology or seeking reconciliation. When Stanley died in 1991, he hadn't spoken to Elton for years, and Elton understandably chose not to attend the funeral. In a surprising twist, Elton maintained contact with his mother, Sheila, despite her continuing toxic behavior long after he moved out. Rather than being supportive or proud of his achievements, Sheila seemed more interested in how Elton's success could benefit her. She had a history of dismissing his musical talent, which was evident even when Elton showed remarkable musical skills as a child. Her focus remained on money and how Elton could spend more on her. Sheila went so far as to scrutinize Elton's shopping receipts, criticize him publicly for buying gifts for friends, and blame Elton's husband, David Furnish, for straining their relationship. Elton has noted in interviews that Sheila's issues were more about her resentment and desire to be the most important person in his life, rather than homophobia. This chapter of Elton John's life illustrates that despite achieving fame and success, he was unable to mend the deeply troubled relationships with his parents. It serves as a reminder that stardom cannot always resolve personal and familial issues, and sometimes, even great accomplishments cannot secure a parent's love and approval. When life is dark, turn to music. Despite the difficulties of Elton John's childhood, there was one shining aspect: his passion for music. As mentioned earlier, Elton displayed remarkable musical talent from a young age, including the ability to play piano pieces from memory after hearing them just once. While many parents would have recognized and nurtured such a gift with lessons and encouragement, Elton's family did not provide this support. Instead, he developed his talent independently. Elton's early exposure to music greatly influenced his future style. At the age of 9, he was captivated by a magazine photo of Elvis Presley and was fascinated by the singer's unique look and sound. Elton described Presley as looking and singing like an alien, a stark contrast to anything he had seen in suburban London. From that moment, Elton was determined to embrace rock and roll, setting him on a path that would define his distinctive style. However, this newfound passion only heightened the tension at home. Though his parents primarily engaged in physical and verbal abuse, they were also concerned about Elton's well-being. In the 1950s, rock and roll was widely believed to corrupt young people's morals, and despite this seeming extreme now, such generational moral panics are common. Elton's father feared that Elvis Presley and Buddy Holly would lead his son astray, so Elton continued to pursue his musical interests privately. His obsession with rock and roll sparked a bit of rebellion, leading him to forsake his piano lessons. Although Elton had once taken great pride in gaining admission to the Royal Academy of Music, braving a challenging entrance exam and enduring a lengthy commute to his classes, his new musical idols shifted his focus. Disillusioned with classical music, Elton began skipping his esteemed classes to spend entire days riding the tube, lost in dreams of playing rock and roll. That moment when you're an international star. If you're an aspiring artist, singer, or actress, you've probably daydreamed about what it would feel like to stare in wonder as thousands of people scream your name and your face is being broadcast on the sides of buses or the TVs in Times Square. But Elton John actually knows what that feels like, and it feels every bit as surreal as you'd imagine. Because after his first album was released in 1970, he rose to international acclaim almost overnight and started his first tour in the United States. When he arrived in Los Angeles on the very first day, he found a bus outside with his face on it and a big banner screaming, "Elton John is here." But even though the world seemed prepared for him to be a star, Elton wasn't too sure he was ready. It all felt unbelievable when he played the legendary Troubadour nightclub and when the icons of rock and roll that he'd always dreamed of meeting were suddenly lining up to meet him. He couldn't believe it was really happening when he started rubbing shoulders with people like Neil Diamond and the members of the Beach Boys, all of whom were ready to welcome him to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Reflecting on that moment with the benefit of time and maturity, Elton remarks that perhaps it all felt so surreal because the world seemed to view him as an instant success, but in reality, his big break did not happen overnight. In fact, nothing could be further from the truth. Starting at the age of 15, Elton had worked long and hard to be discovered, and nothing about his early gigs in local pubs had prepared him for international acclaim. During his pub gigs, young Elton played a broken-down piano and received tips in a pint glass before ducking out the window in a panic when the patrons got too drunk and he, along with every other inhabitant, started to fear for his life. But even once he said goodbye to near-death experiences, his future opportunities weren't much better. When he joined a local band called Bluesology at the age of 17, he didn't have to climb out of windows, but he also didn't receive any attention, despite the fact that the band frequently traveled throughout the UK looking for opportunities. This disappointment motivated him to pursue freelance work as a musician, so he started taking jobs wherever he could, even when that meant recording covers of hit songs that provided more embarrassment than a platform for showcasing his talent. One of his most memorable jobs included being asked to sing Young, Gifted, and Black, and as you might imagine, a white boy from London isn't necessarily the best person to cover this song. In another similarly wacky gig, he was asked to sing like Robin Gibb from the Bee Gees, and if you've ever heard the Bee Gees, you know that Gibb's range and Elton's could not be more opposite. But he desperately took the work anyway, even though the only way he could manage to recreate the sound was by strangling himself as he sang. One thing's for sure, though, these weird formative experiences prepared Elton for a colorful and crazy future. One chance meeting can change your life. Many successful artists have stories of early setbacks that eventually paved the way for their careers, and Elton John's journey is no exception. Like Elvis Presley, who was once told he was too unconventional and would never succeed, and Taylor Swift, who faced rejection from a record label and was criticized for her singing. Elton experienced his own pivotal moment of rejection in 1967. He failed his crucial audition, which was supposed to secure him a record deal and a chance to perform his own songs. The audition was so disastrous that it left him feeling hopeless. However, Elton later realized that this failure was a crucial turning point. If he hadn't bombed that audition, he might never have met Bernie Taupin, a moment that would change his life. While leaving the audition, Elton was handed an envelope by the music producer, containing lyrics written by Taupin. These lyrics, crafted by a young man with dreams similar to Elton's, were the work of a talented lyricist who complemented Elton's musical skills perfectly. When Elton and Bernie finally met in person, their partnership proved to be a perfect match. Their shared personalities and mutual strengths led to a collaboration that has lasted over 50 years. It was this partnership that sparked Elton's breakthrough. Bernie's spontaneous creation of the lyrics for Your Song and Elton's rapid composition of the music resulted in a demo that secured them a £6,000 album deal. This album, which became the Emmy-nominated Elton John, marked the beginning of Elton's successful career. The struggles of success. Many people envision fame as a solution to all their problems, believing that stardom, wealth, and a legion of fans will bring them ultimate happiness and fulfillment. However, Elton John's experience reveals a different reality. Despite his achievements and love for music, he continued to feel like the insecure, rejected child he had been. This deep-seated insecurity plagued him throughout his successful career, leading him to cope with drugs, alcohol, and overeating. Cocaine and alcohol initially seemed to ease his anxiety, making him feel euphoric, uninhibited, and creatively free. However, these substances also caused him to become erratic and destructive. His behavior included damaging his personal assistant's hotel room and bizarrely ordering a tram carriage for his garden. His struggles with food were similarly tumultuous. Although he enjoyed eating, he was terrified of gaining weight, which led him down a painful path of bulimia involving cycles of binging and purging. Elton's turning point came in July 1990, when he isolated himself with alcohol, drugs, and pornography, resolving to use cocaine every 5 minutes. Realizing the self-destructive nature of this lifestyle, he checked into a rehab facility in Chicago. Despite a challenging start, he found the experience ultimately beneficial, allowing him to address his issues away from the pressures of fame. Today, Elton remains sober and uses his experience to support others, encouraging fellow artists like Rufus Wainwright to seek help and go to rehab.